The prison gates swung open, a rusty maw spitting out its prey back into the world. The creaking sound of the gates was a haunting reminder of the years lost behind those iron bars. Scott Nelson, hardened by 25 years behind bars, tasted freedom. It tasted like ash. The sky, once a symbol of hope, now seemed vast and indifferent, a canvas of emptiness reflecting his own hollow existence. He had paid his debt for a bank robbery, but the world outside offered no solace. The streets were unfamiliar, the faces unrecognizable. The city had moved on without him, leaving him a relic of a forgotten past. Jobs were scarce, trust even more so. Every door he knocked on was slammed shut, every hopeful glance met with suspicion. The help wanted signs seemed to mock him, a cruel joke in a world that had no place for him. Desperation gnawed at him, a hunger that wouldn't be denied. The walls of his small dingy apartment closed in on him, the silence a constant reminder of his isolation. He was a man on the edge, teetering on the brink of despair. Then came the opportunity, born of another's vulnerability. In the shadows, he found a twisted sense of purpose, a way to reclaim some semblance of control over his shattered life. A woman, alone, caring for a child in a quiet suburban home. She was the perfect target, her life a stark contrast to his own. Her vulnerability was his opportunity, her peace his chaos. He overpowered her, the years of rage erupting in a terrifying display of control. Her screams were muffled by his hand, her struggles futile against his brute strength. It was a moment of dark triumph, a fleeting sense of power in a powerless life. He forced her into a car trunk, a metal coffin that swallowed her pleas for mercy. The sound of the trunk closing was final, a grim punctuation to her cries. It was a sound that would haunt him, a reminder of the line he had crossed. An ATM, her stolen card, fueled his escape, but the woman, she became a liability. Each transaction was a step further into darkness, each withdrawal a reminder of the life he had taken. He drove her to a secluded grove of trees, the silence broken only by the chirping of crickets and her muffled sobs. The forest was a witness to his crime, its shadows hiding his sins. There, beneath the indifferent gaze of the moon, he silenced her forever. The night was cold, the air thick with the scent of pine and death. The moon, a silent observer, cast a pale light on his deed, its glow a stark contrast to the darkness within him. The trial was a chilling spectacle. The courtroom buzzed with a morbid curiosity, the air thick with the weight of his actions. Every eye was on him, every whisper a judgment. Nelson, devoid of remorse, confessed to the crime. His voice was steady, his gaze unflinching. He spoke of desperation, of a society that had abandoned him. His words were a twisted justification, a plea for understanding in a world that had none to offer. He spoke of desperation, of a society that had abandoned him. His words fell on deaf ears, the jury unmoved by his tale of woe. They saw only a monster, a man who had extinguished a life for a few stolen dollars. The jury saw only a monster who had extinguished a life for a few stolen dollars. Their verdict was swift, their judgment final. There was no room for mercy, no place for understanding. Life in prison, the verdict echoed his victim's fate. A life extinguished, this time by the iron fist of justice. The cell door closed behind him, a finality that mirrored the end of the life he had taken. The walls of his new prison were a stark reminder of his actions, a constant echo of his crime. 14 years old. A child, really. Just on the cusp of adolescence. A time meant for discovery and growth, not for the harsh realities of life. That's all John Bunn was when the system chewed him up and spat him out into the unforgiving belly of the American prison system. A system that should have protected him instead, it devoured his innocence. His crime, existing in the wrong place at the wrong time, a convenient scapegoat for a flawed investigation. A young life, derailed by the very people sworn to uphold justice. Detective Louis Scarcella, a name whispered with a mix of fear and disgust, was the architect of his downfall, a man whose methods were as dark as the shadows he operated in. False accusations, coerced confessions, a web of lies that trapped a young boy in a nightmare. 27 years. 27 years of a life that could have been filled with dreams and aspirations, instead spent in a cold, unforgiving cell. Birthdays missed, loved ones lost, youth stolen. Each passing year, a reminder of the life that was slipping away, of the moments that could never be reclaimed. Behind bars, hope withered and died, replaced by a steely resolve. A resolve to fight, to prove his innocence, to reclaim his stolen life. Bunn fought back, clinging to the tattered remnants of his innocence. Every day, a battle against despair, a struggle to hold on to the belief that one day, the truth would set him free. Lawyers, activists, a chorus of voices rose in his defense. People who believed in justice, who believed in John Bunn, who fought tirelessly to bring his case to light. Finally, after years of tireless struggle, the truth pierced the veil of deceit. The moment of exoneration, a moment that should have been filled with joy but was instead bittersweet. Scarcella's corruption was exposed, his legacy of injustice laid bare. Exoneration, a word that brought some semblance of justice but could never undo the years of suffering. A word heavy with significance yet woefully inadequate to mend the shattered fragments of a life unjustly taken. The scars, both visible and invisible, a constant reminder of the price of injustice. John Bunn walked free, a survivor bearing the invisible scars of his ordeal, a man who had lost so much yet emerged with a strength that could not be broken. His case, a stark reminder that justice delayed is often justice denied, a chilling indictment of a system that can so easily fail those it is meant to protect, a system that must be held accountable so that no other child has to endure the same fate. The courtroom, a place where order should reign supreme, where the scales of justice are meant to be balanced. But sometimes, the very people entrusted with upholding the law succumb to the darkness within. Detective Alan McCarty, a man sworn to protect and serve, became a chilling example of the thin line between order and chaos. A child custody case, already fraught with tension, became a powder keg of simmering rage. McCarty, his face contorted with fury, allegedly threatened the lives of those present. His words, laced with venom, sent chills down the spines of seasoned lawyers and hardened court officers. The judge, her face a mask of controlled alarm, stripped McCarty of his parental rights, a desperate attempt to quell the escalating danger. But the rage, once unleashed, proved difficult to contain. Security cameras captured McCarty in another outburst, his body language a symphony of aggression and menace. This time the consequences were swift and severe. 20 days in jail, a slap on the wrist to some, but a stark reminder that even those in positions of power are not above the law. The courtroom, forever tainted by his outburst, stood as a silent testament to the volatile nature of justice and the fragility of control. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a sterile glow on the aisles of everyday products. The hum was almost hypnotic, a constant background noise that blended seamlessly with the mundane activities of daily life. It was a scene of normalcy, where the biggest concern for most was finding the best deal or remembering the items on their shopping list. Shoppers browsed, oblivious to the storm brewing in their midst. They moved from aisle to aisle, pushing carts filled with groceries, chatting on their phones, or simply lost in thought. The supermarket was a microcosm of everyday life, a place where the extraordinary rarely intruded. It began as a whisper, a name uttered with a mix of fear and recognition. The whisper spread like wildfire, a ripple of unease that disrupted the calm. Markeith Lloyd. The name carried weight, a dark history that turned the ordinary into something sinister. Markeith Lloyd, wanted for the murder of his pregnant ex-girlfriend, was spotted in the most ordinary of places, a Walmart. The sighting was surreal, a collision of two worlds that should never have met, the mundane and the malevolent side by side. Lieutenant Deborah Clayton, off-duty but never off guard, recognized the danger. Her instincts, honed by years of service, told her that this was no ordinary day. She was a protector, even in her moments of rest, always ready to act. Her hand instinctively went to her service weapon, her training kicking in. The weight of the gun was familiar, a tool of her trade, a symbol of her duty. She knew the risks, but she also knew her responsibility. She approached Lloyd, her voice a calm counterpoint to the pounding of her heart. Her words were measured, an attempt to diffuse the situation, to bring order to chaos. But beneath the calm exterior her mind raced, calculating the potential outcomes. But Lloyd, backed into a corner, chose violence. His desperation was palpable, a dangerous mix of fear and aggression. He saw no way out, no escape from the consequences of his actions. Gunfire erupted, shattering the mundane rhythm of the store. The sound was deafening, a violent intrusion into the everyday. Shoppers ducked for cover, their peaceful shopping trip turned into a nightmare. Shoppers scattered, their screams lost in the deafening roar of bullets. Panic spread like a contagion, a primal response to the sudden threat. The supermarket, once a haven of normalcy, was now a battleground. When the smoke cleared, Clayton lay dead, a victim of her own bravery. Her sacrifice was a stark reminder of the dangers faced by those who protect and serve. She had given her life in the line of duty, a hero in the truest sense. Lloyd, a ghost swallowed by the ensuing chaos, escaped. The manhunt that followed was intense, a race against time to bring a killer to justice. The community was on edge, their sense of security shattered. The manhunt lasted 9 grueling days, a community holding its breath, united by fear and grief. The search was relentless, a testament to the determination of law enforcement and the resilience of the community. Vigils were held, candles flickering in the night, a symbol of hope and remembrance. His capture brought little solace, the scars of that day forever etched in the collective memory. Justice had been served, but the loss was immeasurable. The community mourned, their hearts heavy with sorrow. The Walmart, once a symbol of banal consumerism, transformed into a chilling reminder that violence can erupt anywhere, anytime, shattering the illusion of safety in the most ordinary of places. The aisles, once filled with the humdrum of daily life, now stood as silent witnesses to the terror that had unfolded. The fluorescent lights, still humming, cast a cold, sterile glow on a scene forever changed.